So welcome to the podcast today, to the webinar. Just wanted to have a quick chat about things that you can do to take care of yourself during this crisis. And so just wanted to share my own experience about this and see how this might be potentially helpful for you as well. So a little bit of background about myself. I am here in Houston and I have 3 kids under the age of 8. So they're all girls. And so what that means is that my life is pretty busy. My wife also is a full-time, she works full-time as a professional in a law firm. She's a partner in a law firm. So what this crisis has meant is that we've had to change our routine. So instead of having a nanny that was helping us take care of the kids and also having school, we're in a situation where we actually have to both care for the kids, and then also we need to take care of our businesses as well. So you can imagine that this is kind of a challenging thing to do. We're very lucky and blessed where we have our father-in-law living across the street where we can actually work at his house. And it's kind of like an oasis for us away from the craziness of our house. But that's not easy. And so what I want to talk about today is I just want to talk about taking care of ourselves during a time like this, crisis like this. And I want to just talk about some of the things that, look, I'm not an expert. I'm not a health professional, but I'm just want to share my own experience with it, and I'm not perfect with it as well. So let's just begin. And the first question is, right, very important first question is, why even bother taking care of yourself? Things are miserable, right? Things could be going bad. And it's a situation where you might not want to be in a good city. You're just kind of, okay, you see all this noise outside and you're not sure what you want to do with your life. And you're like, okay, why even care? But I think the reason why, and I can just speak from my own experience, it's important to take care of yourself is because if you can't take care of yourself, number one, you can't take care of your family. And number two, you can't take care of your business. And number three, you can't take care of your community as well. And so look, I mean, we have to be very, very sensitive about this. I know people that, especially people through my entrepreneurs organization and other entrepreneurs here in Houston that have lost everything in this crisis. And so we really need to be cognizant of that and to count our blessings about this. Certain industries such as restaurants are doing very, very poorly. So that's the number one thing I would say. First, realize why you need to take care of yourself, because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your family, you can't take care of anything at all. So some really, really small things too that I've learned. Number one, I would say, wearing bright colors. Amazing. One of the things that I've noticed is that I had a certain routine. I would wake up at a certain time and I would go to the office, and all of a sudden that routine got off. And so what I would say is that things such as wearing a bright color or something like that, that could actually affect your mood somehow. The other thing that I want to say is that one of my favorite mentors, a guy by the name of Cameron Herold, talked about how entrepreneurs go through a cycle. And the idea of this cycle is that entrepreneurs go naturally through highs and lows. And what I found through this situation is that I've been going through highs and lows even on a daily or a weekly basis. Some days I'm in a great shape and other days I'm not. And just kind of recognizing that, he actually says that entrepreneurship in many ways is like bipolar disorder. And I can totally see that. Where some days I'm on top of the world and then other days I'm not doing so great. And one of my close friends, his name is James, he said that, and he learned this from Tony Robbins, that you just need to give to yourself some grace sometimes and be able to forgive yourself for something that might happen that you're just not happy about, right? So that's also one thing as well. And so another one of my mentors, his name is Warren Rustand, happy to share a link with him. He started numerous billion-dollar companies based out of Tucson, Arizona. He also taught me at a regional leadership academy based in Washington, D.C., in Williamsburg last year. Some of the things that he said were really, really instrumental for me, and I just want to share those things as well. So the first thing that he shared was that all high caliber people have a morning routine. And I don't know about you, but I found in times like this, it's been my tendency to kind of not have a routine as much, meaning I don't know what to do. I'm not necessarily eating particularly well. I don't know what to do, but actually I think times like this, routine's even more important. And so what I mean by this is he advocates something called a 10-10-10. And every day that I found that I've actually made the time for the 10-10-10, I've actually been more successful and more productive. So what I mean by the 10-10-10 is, number one, I spend 10 minutes thinking about gratitude, meaning the things that I'm most thankful for. Just think about things that I'm thankful for in the morning, first thing. It actually helps for me to do it at a specific time in the morning. It could be at 4:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock, whatever time works for you, but just kind of just sitting there and just saying, hey, these are the things that I'm grateful for, whether or not something as small as a roof over my head, or it might be sleep, or it might be my family, or it might be the fact that I'm able to exercise, my health, whatever that might be for that day, that gratitude. Having an attitude of gratitude is wonderful. It's great. Just starting with 10 minutes of that really changes my perspective over the course of the day. The next 10 minutes, he advocates doing something called just reading, and reading things that are interesting or that are positive and uplifting. Because if you look at the news today, there's just not a lot of uplifting news out there. And so what I've done is I've taken Chicken Soup for the Soul. I've taken different Chicken Soup for the Souls. I've read a few of those over the past few months. And I specifically take the ones that are positive stories. Because in the noise, there's a lot of positivity. And you'd be amazed when it comes to mindset, when you actually tell yourself that there are things that are good out there and read those things that are good, how much that can affect you. And just by reading these uplifting stories about people that have positive things to say, people that have come from situations that are much more dire than mine, that have overcome obstacles much more insurmountable than the obstacles that I face, even during crisis like this, is a very powerful thing for me to read these things over these course of the next 10 minutes. And then the next 10 minutes, what I do is I spend these next 10 minutes journaling. And look, if you look at my handwriting, what would happen in my diary is it's just very hard for anyone in my family to read my diary because they can't read my handwriting. But there's a certain power to actually writing something in a diary. It's the kind of thing where my friends or my family or even my kids or my grandkids will be able to see the things that I'm going through. It's actually kind of like a way to it's a very good catharsis to write for 10 minutes every morning and just to talk about what's going on, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to write it up and to it just kind of feels good to put it on paper. I found that's very, very powerful to write that down, these 10 minutes worth of this. And what I find is that after I do these 10 minutes of, number one, 10 minutes of positive thinking, of gratitude. Number two, 10 minutes of positive reading. And then number three, just 10 minutes of journaling. That's very, very powerful for me. The other thing that I've learned from Warren, which I'm very grateful for, thank you so much, Warren, is that I've learned that it's so important, especially in times like these, it's important to actually focus on the small things. And for me, there are plenty of different things. I like to think about my life as being in 4 different buckets, right? So first I have myself, then I have my family, then I have my work, and then I also have my community. And what I like to do is I like to take these things, these 4 different things in my life, and I want to narrow it down to the 3 things that are most important to me. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about these 3 things from a personal level that are most important to me. So the first thing that's important to me from a personal level is I want to make sure I'm getting enough sleep. Because if I don't get enough sleep, then I can't really function, right? Especially in times like this. Number 2, I want to make sure that I'm getting good enough nutrition. So if I don't feed myself well, again, I'm not going to really perform at my peak rate. And then the third thing I have is that I want to make sure that I'm getting exercise. Because if you think about it, of all the things in our day, exercise is the one thing that, even in a time like this, that can really give us energy. If I miss my morning exercise, and I'm currently training for a triathlon, but I'm not sure when that will happen because of social distancing, then that's a situation where I feel great in the morning when I either run or bike. Not a lot of public swimming these days, obviously. But this exercise thing is critical for me. And it just changes the tone of my day in general. So that's really, really helpful. And look, these things that I'm talking about, I'm not a psychologist, right? I'm just someone that has pretty much a difficult situation with 3 young kids at home, homeschooling, trying to clean, a wife that has a full-time job as well. These are things that have worked well for me throughout this situation. So look, it's a very, very difficult situation for many people. I know this time will end at some point. I want to just go ahead. I know we're about 12 minutes in or 13 minutes in. I wanted to just see if there's any people that have any questions that would like to go ahead and have anything answered, or just kind of chat about what's going on in your life. And by the way, thank you so much for attending. We have people from throughout the United States and internationally here today. So one attendant asked, hey, what do I do if I get burned out? Situations where I'm tired and I don't know what's going on. And what I want to say is that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. What I tell you is that I just think that it's good sometimes to kind of get perspective. It's actually good to go for a walk, just kind of get things. I really believe that 30 minutes a day of sunlight is critical for really getting just kind of surviving from things. So I think that's great. One more question now. Second question would be, hey, what do I do with my employees when my employees, do I tell them the truth or do I not tell them the truth if things don't look so great? And my answer is this, that if you have, so look, my experience in business is that people want to hear the truth, typically. I've been in crises in businesses. And when I tell them the truth, it's helpful. I was in a situation where I had a challenge at my business and we had a collaborative approach and we were open. Things went well. Things went very well with that. Well, I thank you so much for your time today. It was great to see everyone. And if you want to get a hold of me, my email address is agoldman@franchisecoach.net. And thank you so much for your time today. Have a great day.